What's going on, everyone? So the San Antonio Spurs have officially filled out their roster. 15 guys on the roster after bringing back Mamu as well as Bassi. And now the question remains of what is next, right? What direction do the Spurs go now? Do they just run it back, leave it as is, which is a genuine option, right? What can Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes really do alongside, Vassell, Castle, Victor Wembanyama, obviously, Keldon Johnson, right? Like, what does these two veteran additions do to the San Antonio Spurs? I think that they're going to do a lot. I have said repeatedly, I think Chris Paul was the best decision the San Antonio Spurs could have made this offseason, right? Because they got a guy that is not only going to be able to mentor, develop, and grow their young guys, particularly Castle, but he's also a guy that's going to make things so incredibly easy for Victor Wembanyama. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if Victor averages 30 this season. Chris Paul playing alongside Victor is going to have a field day. Right? Chris Paul's whole motivation is like he wants to set the assist record. Oh, he's doing that. Playing alongside Victor, Victor's probably going to get 10 points a game just because Chris Paul's on the court. It's going to be so easy for Chris Paul. Chris Paul's probably going to get 5 to 10 assists a game just because Victor's on the court. Right? It's going to be a beautiful pairing, in my opinion. You add in Harrison Barnes and all the things that Harrison Barnes could do. A legit 3-and-D guy, veteran, brings in championship DNA. He's won a championship. He was a big part of that Golden State team. He had some big shots, had some big plays, and some big moments. Right? This is a guy that's kind of been there, done that. Obviously, he's not some superstar or some star or anything like that, but that's good, right? Like, you have your superstar in Victor. You also need guys that are relatable, right? Like, Harrison Barnes never was that star. It's harder for young players to relate to, say, a Kevin Durant than it is a guy like Harrison Barnes, because most of those guys are never going to be Kevin Durant. And even if they do one day, they're not that player right now, right? Like Vassell and, Keldon Johnson and these guys, like, they're closer to Harrison Barnes right now than they are Kevin Durant. Right? And I'm not saying that they aren't better or however you feel about it, but I'm talking about as far as like the distance. Kevin Durant is one of, if not the greatest scorers ever. Guy's going to go down top 15, 20 all time. Right? Like, Keldon Johnson isn't even a top 75 player all time. Keldon Johnson isn't even a top 30 player in the league right now. Right? Like, Vassell, none of these guys, right? Except Victor. Victor's the only one that you can look at and go, man, that guy's probably top 15 right now. So it's good to have a guy in like a Harrison Barnes that is relatable, that can go, hey, like, play your game, right? You do this is how, like, and kind of help guide, and be in that position to help these guys play a particular role. Right? Because that's what you want from your guys, especially in the Spurs type of system. Harrison Barnes was, and still is in many ways, one of the best in his role. Because he knows what his role is. He accepts his role. He has his moments. He has his games. But he doesn't take away from the stars. Right? He's not a guy that's just... And I'm not saying you can't learn from a Kevin Durant or anything like that. Obviously, if you had Kevin Durant on the roster, that'd be great for the young guys. But talking about relatability. Talking about, like, hey, like, you see it with, like, some of the younger, like, guys like Jared Dudley or Udonis Haslem, right? Like, these guys that were mentors in their later years, right? Use the Lakers as an example. The Lakers had Jared Dudley, who was an extension of the coaching staff, who all the players went to and confided in. Why? Because it's easier to go to him and relay your frustrations or relay, a certain question or whatever than it is to go to a LeBron James and ask. And now you either look silly or, he doesn't agree, or it's kind of that stepping stone, right? Or like a Udonis Haslem. Like, everyone went to Udonis Haslem for the questions, for the things. They didn't go to Jimmy Butler. They didn't go to Dwayne Wade. They didn't go to LeBron. And then when they were there, like, why? Because he's the guy that was relatable. He was the approachable one. And that's what I think a guy like Harrison Barnes brings. So I do think that there is this argument. You just leave it alone, right? Leave it as is. Run it as is. See what these guys can do. See what the vets provide. See what kind of strides the young guys take. But there is the side of making a trade, right? Do they go make that push for a Lauri Markkanen? I personally would kind of want the Spurs to stay away from Lauri Markkanen. That's me personally. You're going to have to pay him. He wants a max. You have to pay him all his money. And is he really worth that? Right? He's great right now at, 18, 20 million, right? But what is he really your second guy going forward alongside Victor? I don't think so. I think you're better off just kind of sticking it as is. And I would rather see the Spurs go after like a Keldon Johnson or something like that, right? A Walker Kessler. Just thinking of Utah and potential trade. But yeah, a Walker Kessler. Big body center, do multiple things, make plays out of the post, score in the post. Is showing a little bit of an ability to step out, knock down the three ball. He could be the guy that goes up against the Jokic's and the Sabonises and the big body centers of the world, right? Get a guy like that can step in and kind of play that role. I think that would be almost better, in my opinion. And then just defensively, that would be great. So, again, I don't mind the trade if the right trade is there, right? Like, you don't want to force or make a trade just to make a trade. You don't want to make some big swing and now you missed and now you're in just this tough position, right? Like, patience is key, right? Like, patience is very significant and important, right? Like, especially when you have this young team. But there also is, this is why I don't envy the Spurs, right? There is this sense of urgency almost. Because Victor is so good so quickly and so out the gate that at some point you're going to have to pay that man. You're going to have to pay that man a lot of money, right? And so to me, it's like, if you can build that contender now, kind of push your chips in a little more to build that dynasty now to where you can maybe squeeze out a championship or two before Victor really starts to get into now he's making $50 million a year and stuff. I kind of think you do it, right? Like his first rookie deal, like his first max off of his rookie deal, that's not going to be the 50, 60 million a year one, but he's still going to get paid pretty heavily, right? So to me, it's like there is this sense of balance, right? There is this sense of like, okay, we got to kind of expedite things, but for me, it's like, wait for the right move. I don't think a guy like a Lauri Markkanen is the right move. I think you're almost better off going and getting a Walker Kessler or waiting for that bigger fish that it's like, oh, okay, this guy is the guy that basically puts us over the top and now we're winning championships, right? It's kind of how I feel in that regard with the potential trade front. But again, I mean, with Victor Wembanyama and just his talent, like you're in a good shape no matter which route you go, right? Because he's only going to improve. He's only going to get better. Again, you can already make an argument he's top 15 in the league. What does he look like, next year or 2 years from now? I wouldn't be shocked if next year he's in the top 10. And then once he starts getting to that top 5 and stuff like that, now you're pretty much there. Now it's just like you're right around the corner from actually winning championships, and now you don't need this like superstar studded roster. But in the same breath, it would be nice to kind of get as much talent around him as possible early on, so that way, as the old talent fades, Victor's kind of coming in and his contract's kicking in, and then now you're just kind of retooling. You know what I'm saying? Like, where it's like right now, it's like you got this like 2-3 year window where it's like, hey, Victor's going to be dirt cheap. And if you can get the right players that kind of line up, I think you can do it. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of just staying as is, run it as is? Do you think like, nah, like you gotta make a little push, make a little move, go trade for a Lauri Markkanen, or no, go trade for a Walker Kessler, or however, whatever your thoughts are, however you feel, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.